All right, before I get into any of the community requests that I mentioned on part 1, before I get into any of those, I would like to show you the rest of the Genius NFTs. All right, so since most of you have, excuse me again, since most of you have version 1, so first edition version 1, since most of you already have that, you're gonna see this nice little button. And I didn't see that button before. Well, it didn't pop up for a certain reason. And here, when you buy some packs that you're all happy about, what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna convert your version 1 Genius NFTs to the version 2. And it'll let you know that a required conversion must be executed to view your V1 NFTs. You will need to grant permission for all of your NFTs to be transferred. All NFTs will be transferred to the contract, which will allow the contract to convert them for you. So that's important. So that's what you'll do. You'll confirm. And that's going to be like, your NFT may be at risk. You'll just approve it. Scary, right? But hey, we have no interest in stealing your Genius NFTs. This will just show up and do this stuff. So first, you approve that. Yay, it's approved. And then after you approve it, you'll confirm it. And then after you confirm it, something will happen. I don't know. A lot of my help in consulting with Genius NFTs involved myself seeing the contracts themselves, not so much of the actual other stuff. So here, they've been converted. Cool. Now, what was converted though? Yeah, a lot of stuff was converted. Let's see how many I have here. 3, 6, 79, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 31. Cool. Let me see how many there are when I do this. So that's 6, 12. My brain's not working. 18. Cool. 24. 30, 31 as well. Let's open up a bunch of packs, man. So unpacking all these now, unfortunately this is testnet because there's some Genius NFTs that I want really bad. And by the way, that gas fee is, just ignore that. It's not going to cost that much in gas. There's some Genius NFTs that I really want, that I think are really cool. So maybe I'll get to show you some of those. So too bad this is testnet. But I've seen this UI before, but now like really the fact that it's solid, that's pretty cool. All right, so a known issue is when you unpack these, it has the number wrong, but that'll be fixed. So I can just sit here and look at that. Look at all those fireworks. Come on. I love that one. Okay, look at these fireworks. These are hilarious. Oh, cool, a rare. Can of soup. Ooh, another rare. Dang. Common amped. All right, so like this is kind of cool here. Some when you see this, it'll surely be different. Like for example, that surprise screen, right? The showcase area. What it's not doing here is showing video. Like for example, this right here, this Genius NFT. It'll show as a video to you instead. Right.
What we're looking for is how everything works.
I don't even know if you can hear the audio for this, but that'd be cool.
What makes everything work?
What makes everything work?
It has to do with curiosity. It has to do with people wondering what makes something do something. There's a way of looking anew, as if you never saw it before, for the first time, and asking questions about it.
Well, that's cool.
It has to do with people wondering.
They're looking new or different.
So I've seen that video many times. Maybe it's new for someone. All right. See what other rares and stuff. Ooh, rare amps. I want to check that out before I check it out. This rare is cool. Excuse me. Let's view this one. The page is lost. Oh, I see why. Never mind. Excuse me. I'm dying. All right, so now, those are just some things with the Genius NFTs. And I hope you all like it very much. It's going to be really cool. It's almost there. So that's how close we are with Genius NFTs. So now to some community requests. All right. I'd like to see some collateral pool action, like a live stream showing a collateral deposit and redeeming at the same time. Now there are really cool stuff with the collateral pool. And the collateral pool has to do with Genius debt, because when Genius debt is issued, people deposit collateral into the collateral pool. Then they get Genius debt issued into a miner, right? Let's see. Let me do this. Cool. All right, bring that over there a little bit. All right. Well, so I made this spreadsheet to kind of help. I ran out of time earlier, or I was looking at my time and I thought, oh, dang, I'm not going to be able to get through all this. But I wanted to at least show you that how it would look, while there could be like a live stream or a video in general on how to do this, like what it looks like when you redeem and when you get more Genius debt. The tokenomics of it are what's pretty cool and important. So to visualize the data, right? This is kind of how it was visualized in like early simulations, like before Python, like programming and stuff was used. But what you're interested in is like the Genius contract keeps track of like the total amount of debt that's issued, settled, and cleared. And then it also keeps track of that per collateral. It's very important. It's very important to note per collateral because that ultimately comes up with how much someone is going to receive when they redeem Genius, and etc. So in the very beginning of the system, if you were to deposit, right, into the collateral pool, like 1,000 US dollar like tokens, like a stable coin that's pegged to the US dollar. If you were to deposit that, let's say your initial deposit, your initial debt issue rate is like 1/100 of a penny per Genius. Initially, there's not going to be any public settlement rate or PSR because you need collateral and you need Genius debt, or you need collateral and you need Genius debt in order for there to be, it's just necessary in order to figure out how much you're going to get when you redeem. So at this rate, 1,000 USDC or 1,000 DAI stablecoin at this debt issue rate, you're going to mint, you're going to have 10 million Genius for your miner. And whenever this happens, what you get is, move this out of the way. Ultimately, what you get is, for making a deposit, there's a pump. The debt issue rate increases. Now, I put here like a guesstimate of how much the pump is, because you can't really guesstimate this pump without having a good chunk of data in the Genius contract's artificial intelligence and memory. that allow the Genius contract to know what is the size of the miner. But just to let you know, your average sized miner is going to pump, like the average sized miner with Genius principal or Genius debt principal, excuse me, that average size miner is going to pump the debt issue rate by about 5%. And the biggest whales in the world creating the biggest miners, they're going to pump that about 10% maximum. So for this column, I had to put guesstimates. So once this deposit goes through, for the next person, the new debt issue rate is going to be a little more than 1/100 of a penny. In fact, 6% higher. So $0.000106. And you're going to have, oh, I didn't finish the new PSR, but, and then you're going to have a public settlement rate, and that public settlement rate, the new public settlement rate is going to be all of your existing deposits divided by all of the existing amount of debt issued. So let me put that in there. Cool. Let me get this over here because I don't think I'm going to use it. It's much better. Okay. Cool. So once doing a deposit, a collateral deposit of 1,000 USDC or 1,000 DAI, and 10 million Genius debt is issued, the new debt issue rate is going to be about 6% higher. And the public settlement rate, so for anybody who wants to trade in their Genius for the collateral within the Genius contract, the public settlement rate is going to be 1/100 of a penny. So what happens is, as deposits come in, right, the new deposit issue, the new debt issue rate increases, right? And the new public settlement rate, basically the amount you're going to get per Genius when you redeem, that also increases. Now this turns out to be like a, this turns out to be similar to a kind of like a volume weighted average. But by the way, there are a few things that pump this right here. Like this is very interesting. So let me pump it. What is this? Oh, that button. Just to let you know, the things that pump the PSR, or how much you get per redeeming. New deposits can pump it as long as the issue rate is larger than the public settlement rate, then this value could be pumped higher. So higher debt issue rates. So that's the first thing, higher debt issue rate. The second is older miners clearing. So when the debt clears, so for example, let's say this miner ends and the debt clears, right? What happens is, let me see if I can simulate this. Yeah, okay. So all the way at the bottom right, let's say this is your latest public settlement rate, right? Let's say that's your latest public settlement rate. When this miner ends, no matter how much Genius or collateral they get back, the public settlement rate pumped from about 0.00010 something to 1.1. Now pay attention to this value. Let's say this miner ends. It's going to pump a tiny bit, very tiny. And then let's say this large miner ends right here. So you see this public settlement rate keeps pumping. The other thing that pumps the public settlement rate is when you redeem. So I didn't get time to put that in here, but let's say they were to redeem, oh, it's going to be difficult. It's going to take me a while to program the math in there. Let me just go ahead and do it real quick. So I'll pause this video and I'll show how the public settlement rate, when people redeem, how that pumps. Okay, cool. I feel accomplished. All right, so what we have is the other way of pumping the public settlement rate is when we redeem. And in this question here we had from the community where Hex Factor wanted to know about that. Well, here's what happens with redeeming. What I did was I also added like a pass section, by the way, because when we have our issue rate, our debt issue rate, whenever pass just means that like almost 15 hours go by. And when 15 hours go by, the issue rate decays. It decays by about 9%, which is pretty aggressive. It's insanely aggressive, actually. It's very aggressive. All right, so, excuse me. So then what we have here is there's the pass, another day pass, another day pass. Then we have here redeem, right? As you can see, when we redeem like this much debt, which comes out to be exactly, let's say 1,000 stablecoin collateral, you can see that the public settlement rate, if you look here on the bottom right, it pumps from like 11,319 to 11,590. And then when you're redeeming another 700, it pumps quite a bit to 13,534. Now, why does it do that? Well, I have the formulas here, but the reason why it does it is as people are settling debt, right? As people are redeeming their Genius to settle debt, about 1.85% of the collateral, of the total collateral that gets settled, or the total debt that gets settled, the collateral side that will get unlocked, about 1.85% of it does not get unlocked. It stays in the contract. So therefore, when calculating the new public settlement rate, it increases and it keeps increasing. So that's why that happens. All right. So next question here. You guys need to think about using a different name for your coin because the name Genius is associated with a few coins that were rugged and so on. And people are getting your coin and those coins mixed up. Now, I put this in here to address because this was one of the questions. And I think it's very fair to answer that too. What I'd like to say is, so, you know, the team's got to call it something, and Genius seemed very appropriate. And yeah, there were some coins out there that were rugged that were called Genius. That's quite a bit in the past, and that's a dying fact of the past. Now, it's clear that Genius.app, or sorry, Geni.app, and other apps in regards to this Genius token, it's very clear that it's not the same. Now, if you're digging your butt off to find stuff about cryptos, yes, you're going to find this, but most people aren't like that. So I don't know who would change the name, to be frank. Probably people who are running different websites like Geni.best, Geni.app. They would probably say, hey, we're changing the name. Yeah, I don't know how that would work out. You can't really change the name of a token once you launch it, though, now that I think about it. You can't go to the contract and tell the contract, hey, change your name and change your abbreviations. So that's not going to happen, but I did want to mention that. I'm not a marketing and branding expert, but I think it makes sense what this person's saying, and I just wanted to bring that out there. However, the prior Genius that was rugged, I don't know much about it other than its logo. I remember its logo. But, you know, that's a long past, and that sucks for the people who are rugged. But there's a new Genius in town. Here's the last kind of fuddish thing. The price charts are unimpressive, and the dismissive way that the NFTs have been addressed. as if you don't want anyone to be excited in any way strange. This was by somebody named Guy with a lot of numbers at the end of it. So pretty much a Twitter rando. But I did want to mention that on here. The price chart is unimpressive. I mean, point taken. Let's look at liquidity. This is a pretty unimpressive price chart too, if you ask me. That's like super unimpressive. But the point is the utility. The utility is important. Now, let's say Genius was pegged at $1, and people who are doing Genius mining are earning. People who are Genius mining, they're earning 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever percent based on their original Genius that they used to start mining. That's excellent. Like, who cares about the price chart at that point? So utility has a big part to play in it. So let's see. Is there a time where Genius will have a very impressive chart? I think so. I find the chart already very impressive, especially considering a bear market. Well, let me rephrase that. Any cryptocurrency expert and markets expert with cryptocurrency is going to find Genius to be impressive. When the full-on blood in the streets bear market was happening, when the market was just crashing and crashing, Genius was popping up. And Genius did more than 100x in value. I think it did 200x. So that was super impressive. Who else in a bear market did 200x? And then with Genius's launch as a sacrifice, really as a launch as a sacrifice, Genius has one main way to go with sacrifice participants wanting to cash in on that 200x profit. And that main way to go is down, way down, super down. After price discovery, there was no 95% dip. There wasn't even an 85% dip. Maybe 60% dip where it is now. So up from 200x, that's pretty substantial. And people who are participated in the sacrifice, they did as much as 5x their funds or 500%, etc. So I wanted to address this because, one, it was one of the questions. They wanted to have it addressed. And I would say, hey, you know what? It's true. There's a lot of unimpressive charts. But the chart does not it's foolish to look at a chart because the chart is not the utility. The chart's not what is driving you revenue. For example, if you are a Bitcoin miner and Bitcoin stays at $28,000 every day for the next year, right? The price chart might not be impressive, but you as a Bitcoin miner, you don't care. You're making revenue and you're doing great and you're happy. You're driving new cars and stuff while everybody who's saying the price chart is unimpressive while they're driving the same car or something, right? Not to put this person down. I'm just saying in general. So don't pay attention to price charts. There's another price chart that is super unimpressive. It's called Zen. It's just like down and down and down. But you know what? People are still making money off Zen. And they're still making a lot of money. So hey, if you want an impressive chart, go find an impressive chart. But if you want to make money, you want to find out more about the utility of the token. That's much more important. But so you know what? I think this comment is very valuable. I think it's very valuable because many people think this way. Many people think like, how's the chart doing though? And crypto is showing people more and more and more that the chart doesn't matter. So if you want to be a smart investor with crypto or you want to find good utility, the chart is like the last thing you want to look at. Hey, Robert, over 90 days after the launch of Genius, I would like to know your opinion on the following topics. 1, do you think it was the right decision to launch on all 4 blockchains? Yes, absolutely. 1,000%. The plan wasn't to do that. The plan was just Ethereum, right? And then I think later Binance came in and then later. So do I think it was the right thing to do for the launch team to launch on 4 chains? I do. And we all had many, many discussions about this. And so I think it was a great idea. What we got from that, right? What we all got from that all of us that are looking at Genius, is we got to see that the tokenomics are working the same and the charts look pretty much the same, if you're looking by chart, and the activity is the same, and the supply accounting is the same regardless. Well, I don't mean the exact same, but it has it has the same soul, it has the same pattern, it has the same trajectory, regardless of the chain. So that's really cool. The fact that there's a different trajectory shows you that this is something that is functioning as intended. It shows you that it's not based on a fad. It's not based on something that's popular. It's not based on the Avalanche aficionados or the people who are big fans of like Binance Smart Chain. It shows you, it's strong evidence that Genius's only requirement was that there's human attention on it, and that human beings and others, that they want to take advantage of those financial opportunities, right? Financial opportunities like, not just mining, but also the financial opportunities of running gas functions to receive a token in return, opportunities such as arbitraging Genius debt and arbitraging Genius on the open market versus redeeming Genius. So these are all very real, very rapid financial opportunities. So this shows, being across these 4 different chains, this shows very strong evidence that Genius is doing exactly what its AI intended to do, regardless of what environment it's on. So I think it was the right decision. Also, what I think was great research information was you could see how the price of gas affects also the price of the token, I think. You could also see how the price of gas also affects people who are using it and how they're using the token. So I think this is a really cool example. It's a really cool way to see the strengths and weaknesses of the other blockchains themselves. 2, where do you get the optimism that that GENI will be a big success? I just realized I didn't read that the same before. I don't know where I get it. I don't know where I get it, where I have that. Genius's artificial intelligence is what, the artificial intelligence has a goal. And seeing that goal is happening and that people are interacting with that transactional based artificial intelligence, so far is extremely successful. So I think that's really cool. So that's where I get it. I get it from analyzing what the AI is doing and knowing that it's doing like what's intended. 3, do you think the community is on the correct way with their marketing? For example, the 30-day challenge from Mike Vulcan. I'm not a marketing person, so I really don't know. I think seeing the numbers continuously increase, like community based and people who are talking about discussing Genius, it looks like it's is it on the correct way? It looks like it's going in a positive direction, and I think it's really neat. So I think so. I think the answer to your question is an absolute yes. Next one. Hey, Robert, maybe you could break down the summarize function and how it works. Also, maybe something about how NFTs are linked to ending your miners and how this may affect your gas fee when ending a miner, if that is in fact the case. Saw some people talking about it in the Telegram. All right. Thank you, Benny G369. All right. So, the summarize functions. Simple. I'll show you the summarize functions. All right. Well, I'm going to switch back here to the Ethereum network or any other network. So what you have is you like all my miners? This accounts miners at least. So what you have is, okay, you have this performance page. And what Benny G is talking about is break down how this summarize function works. So this thing right here, how does that work? Well, you click it, and then you say how many days you want to summarize. But when you look down here, right, when you see a blank space, that means you can summarize that. Except for like on the 10-day and probably 100 days, the latest period, it's like a UI bug. But here, when you summarize these days, what happens is the contract looks at all of the contract parameters of what's going on within the contract, how much new activity and how much new activity of engaging and adding to the contract, and also disengaging and removing oneself from the contract. The summarize function looks at all that, summarizes that information, like compiles it, and ultimately spits out a bunch of numbers, like letting you know what was the performance for that day, like how much how much new Genius revenue is paid out to basic miners and advanced miners. So then running these calculations, we'll figure out like, okay, so basic miners, what is their performance per share that they have, per IQ share, right? And as well for advanced miners, what is their performance per share, right? So you're performing the calculations to do this, and it's a lot of calculations. It is hundreds of calculations. That's a guess off the top of my head, of course. The summarize function, it also, for example, when day 90 was summarized, the penalty counter decayed. It was 27 point something and it decayed to like 16.9 something. Oh, cool. Today, advanced miners earned extra revenue. I like to see that. The summarize function will also figure out the new IQ share rate. The new IQ share rate guaranteed to go up always. So whenever you buy shares through Genius Mining, you're guaranteed that you're getting the best rate for your IQ shares. You'll never get a rate that good in the future. You won't even get a rate equal to that rate the next day when you do this. All right, so you're running a lot of calculations. Now you're also, when you run this summarize functionality, you do it by the day, right? Like each day can only be summarized once. And the account that summarizes, that runs these functions, that the account that does it first on the blockchain gets a reward of 10,000 Genius. And for you're also able to summarize 10-day periods, and that gives you a reward of 10,000 Genius. You're also able to summarize 100-day and 1,000-day periods. Now, I may have misspoke because, there's a lot going on within the smart contract. I think it might be the 100-day summary where you'll get paid 100,000 Genius for doing that, for running that gas function. Or maybe it's the 100th day for the single day summary. I don't remember. The white paper or the technical reference guide, this thing, that'll tell you. All right. Now for the 1,000-day, that's 900 days from now. The prize is 1 million Genius. Cool. And I believe you're asking about maybe something about how NFTs are linked to ending your miners. Okay. Well, in regards to that, you see, remember in the NFT section, there's a receive NFTs switch that you can turn on or off. And what that'll do is that will tell the Genius smart contract whether you want a chance to get a Genius NFT or not. That costs more gas. When you're ending a miner or when you're starting a miner, the gas costs if you have receive NFTs on, the actual gas cost, once your transaction confirms, I think it's like 5% more. It's kind of small. But if you do mint a Genius NFT, the gas costs are almost double. Yeah. And I think that's it. That's just for starting and ending a miner. That's what the gas costs will kind of look like. Ending a miner, and if you have an NFT, I think it's like 50% more the gas cost. So when you have receive NFTs on and you do summarizing, for each period you summarize, you're guaranteed to get a Genius NFT. So it's kind of cool. Thank you for asking. And hey, thank you everyone for asking, even the more fuddish comments. Thank you. Can you share your long-term vision for the Genius token and how you plan to achieve it? Okay. Well, the long-term vision is the AI doing the thing that it's doing, and the tokenomics or the accounting being adjusted over time in a way that makes the Genius token itself more valuable over time. So I don't plan to achieve that. No, no one can plan to achieve that. That's really the smart contract itself. So the smart contract is planning to achieve it. The smart contract, its artificial intelligence, is strategizing to achieve that. And will it achieve it? I don't know, but I do feel very good that it will achieve that. I've also seen countless simulations on how this works and what it looks like in many different scenarios. So I feel very confident, and that's my long-term vision of Genius. Genius was designed to guaranteed work for 50 years, but Genius was also designed to theoretically work for over 100 years, like 110 years or something like that. And in fact, the tokenomics for it, Genius could be around for 9,000 years. I try to get rid of doubt that I have with everything. But 9,000 years, I mean, technology changes so much. To be frank, I don't even think money will be around in a couple hundred years. Maybe even 100 years. I don't know. Maybe 500 years. I do feel that the future of money is no money at all. That the future of money has a lot to do with a function of our attention. You know, how many things we can attend to in a certain given period, and our intentions. And this has a lot to do with desire. It has a lot to do with emotions, really. It has a lot to do with how connected we all are as humanity, emotionally connected, and, you know, physically connected. So I don't know where humanity is going to be, but I do see a future without money. I just don't know when it's going to be here. Money. I see things just changing. For example, well, I'll stay away from that. Good question. So I know that I think in like 80 years or 100 years, maybe it's 50 years, the Genius smart contract will eventually, the APY or the inflation rate. The inflation rate is currently 4.236%, right? And that becomes deflationary depending on human actions. But eventually with Genius, the rate of inflation no longer becomes a percentage. And I think it's in like, it's more than 50 years, I believe. Maybe it's 60 years. Genius eventually hits a cap, and I think it's 64 like billion or 64 million per day. It's not 64 million per day. I don't remember. But Genius eventually hits a cap where each day where new revenue is generated, it hits a cap. Yeah. The tokenomics make it inevitable that Genius debt will become higher than the liquid amount. The trend is clear, but would love for you to weigh in on the velocity of what is happening and what you take in progress on that front has been to date. Thanks. Digital Duster Shades. And for the previous person, thank you as well. And thank you everyone for these. So this was a great question. I mean, all the questions were great, but here I really wanted to dig more into this. Don't ask, it's some kind of red drink. Cranberry. So, well, first of all, let's see. All right, I'm back. I had to look through that. So, all right. So it's true. The AI, the artificial intelligence tokenomics, excuse me, they do make it inevitable that the Genius debt will become higher than the liquid amount. Now, the chances of that not happening are pretty difficult, extremely difficult. People would have to be working against their worst interests, if that makes sense. And people rarely do that. Well, people do that often, but people rarely do that on a massive scale, especially financially. So to answer this, let's think about the bull market, right? The upcoming bull market. People can't wait for the bull market. I believe it's going to be in April 2024. I mean, then again, with things going on, I mean, you could even say there may never be another bear and bull markets, and national currencies could disappear, or national currencies or nations could jump onto the best cryptocurrencies for refuge, right? Because after all, nations do depend on their financial system greatly. That's a very integral part to society working together, right? So this is kind of like, this isn't an off the top of my head estimate, but this is my best guess with a bit of research. This isn't something though that I've sat down for like 8 hours and figured out like with a team of like other people that look at markets and weather cycles, national cycles, political cycles, lunar cycles, even astrology itself. So, but this is something that I've come to the best feel. Is that our next bull market would be April 2024. But assuming that, one thing for sure is that in April 2024, more people are going to know about Genius. And at the moment, we have like relatively like a small group of people that are reaping the rewards from Genius. And this is people who are learning how to use it, learning how to get utility from it, and teaching others in the process. So that's, I say, a relatively small group, because in the future, that just, when you have products that work and people like them, a lot more people end up using them. Even if you have people who use it and don't like it, right? Sometimes they learn more in the future of how to find utility for it. And Genius has a ton of utility. So, like for example, when the unsettled debt amount becomes greater than the circulating supply, Genius's full fundamentals are in place. Now, why does it take a while to get there? First of all, well, it takes a while to get there because just because of the distribution method of Genius. It takes a while to build something like this. It takes a while to build an ecosystem, and onboarding and etc. And that's what I had spent many years in crypto land focusing on, business-wise and as a corporate officer. But once that happens, once this unsettled debt for Genius, once that supply is greater than the circulating supply, people are definitely going to wonder, hey, what the heck is going on? And I believe more people are going to learn about Genius debt at that time. Like right now, a small group of people, they are reaping the rewards of Genius debt. And in the future, people are going to wonder about the tokenomics more. For example, let's say Genius were performing how it is now, right? And a bear market just started and everything's crashing, but Genius is still hanging out, right? People are going to be very curious about it. They're going to be saying, hey, was this a safe haven for me to put yeah, that'd be cool. All right, thank you. Didn't want to leave. This person totally ghosted. But so over time, people who do look at charts, who do think, charts are the end all be all and a way to figure out revenue or utility, people who are like that, they're going to wonder what's going on. They're going to wonder why Genius is very different. And Genius debt is super novel, and I know that this is going to inspire other tokens and blockchains. But that's the bull market in the future. Quick summary. The bull market, by the time that comes, more people are going to know about Genius. And the relatively small group of people now who are benefiting from Genius debt, they're going to know what's going on. They're going to know like why things are getting very interesting when the unsettled debt is greater than the circulating supply. And more people are inevitably going to learn about this. And I see Genius inspiring many other cryptos. So the bear market. So when's the next bear market going to hit us? It's a good question. I really don't know. I would, in the future, I'll talk with some other experts or other people who look at different cycles for economics to figure that out. But my best guess could be as early as November 2024, maybe as late as March 2025, but probably like sooner, like December, January 2025. And at that time, peeps or people, they'll be able to see how the Genius AI and the tokenomics of this AI, how it has strategically trapped people into a high price of Genius. Now that doesn't sound great, does it? Oh, we strategically trapped you into a high price of Genius. I just felt the way to say that. But strategically keeping itself up at a relatively high price, regardless of the fact that a bear market has come. And a lot of that has to do with the amount of liquid supply. And the liquid supply amount is something that Genius entices its end users to build tokenomics or to build the accounting in a certain direction to make that happen. No one's going to complain about that. Next bear market, no one's going to complain about it. Even this bear market, no one complained about Genius. Maybe some people who got in after a bunch of hype and launch hype and such, or maybe other people who are pissed off because Genius is competing with their bags. But no one complained before, and no one who had skin in the game complained before. And in the next bear market, I don't see that anybody's going to complain about a price that's actually influenced to be high. Other notes on that, though. You see, when people break their mining commitments for Genius, that's called early end mining, EEM. When people break their mining commitments, the more people that do break their mining commitments, Genius becomes deflationary. That doesn't happen in any other systems. For example, if like a third of everyone is breaking their mining commitments, that 4.236% inflation is going to turn into 4.236% deflation or negative inflation. Yeah, that was a quick calculation off the top of my head as well. So, check myself. Go ahead and check me on that. These quick calculations are possible when you get used to phi-based math. And Genius uses phi-based math entirely. Not entirely, but almost. Like 98, 99% of all calculations in the Genius contract, they're phi-based math. That means regular whole numbers aren't used, but phi proportions are used, or the golden ratio is used. It's kind of a cool detail. But when people are breaking their commitments, like via auctions, Genius is going to become more like net zero inflationary. Now, that's a much more complicated issue or a much more complicated idea because it's unknown how much people are going to bid. But generally, it's going to hover around net zero inflation. All right, cool. So more on that bear market. Well, this isn't the bear market, but it's the idea that after the bear market after the bear market into bull markets, the idea that people may stick to their commitments more. They're really happy seeing number go up, seeing that they're earning revenue. So it's very possible. In a bull market, Genius is 4.236 inflationary, indeed. And you see, Genius debt, it battles that inflation with about that same amount of inflation value being extracted from redeeming. So when people are redeeming, that's a bit complicated. I don't know if I'm ready to communicate that, but it's pretty fascinating. It's pretty fascinating what Genius debt does to the value of all the other collaterals in the system. Ultimately, how Genius's stability pool works with Genius debt is that Genius ends up reaping the value benefits, and all the collaterals in the collateral pool, they end up getting harmed. Their value ends up getting harmed while the value of Genius ends up pumping. That's all I'm going to say for now, because I haven't figured out how to communicate it yet. So today's bear market, right? In today's bear market, people are hurting greatly. I think that's something that we should remember, is that, yeah, people are hurting. I mean, even in job markets and et cetera, it's a tough time. And people who have crypto and they're still addicted to their national currency and stuff, they're gonna want to handle that. They're gonna want to feel safer. So people are really hurting in a bear market in general. People who aren't used to these cycles. And really this bear market, it's a result of national currencies being terrible. It's a result of these national policies. It's a result of having a monetary system that depends on things like, a military industry, or depends on society being a bunch of murderers and other things besides that. So really we have these bear markets and such because, not because people suck, but because of bad policies for people who are very addicted to power. Most people are addicted to power. So when crypto rules the world, will there even be bear and bull markets? I don't know. I'm curious to see that, and I really think I'll see that very shortly in my lifetime. I think the best thing for people to do, though, in a bear market is to take personal responsibility. Take personal responsibility for their own livelihood, for the work that they find, and stop depending on political systems. One way to do that is to get onto a new monetary system. All right, so once again with this, Genius itself, it is a sleeping giant. I know we talk about how people are hurting in a bear market, but you know what? You can always do something to invest in yourself, to invest in other things, to get closer to your goals, to get closer to your desires. You can always improve in some way. And as the talk here has been Genius, addressing community questions involving Genius, and as well, addressing Shade's question, which was, let's find that. The tokenomics make it inevitable that Genius debt will become higher than the liquid amount. The trend is clear. So this is somebody who is also researching the heck out of Genius like myself. So he sees that, he or she sees that the trend is clear, right? Wants me to weigh in on the velocity of what is happening and what my take on the progress on that front has been to date. So, that brings us back to here. Genius is a sleeping giant. In a bear market where people have profited from a sacrifice, like they didn't expect to do that, they're sacrificing, and then the tokens come in, it turned into a huge profit. Well, I mean, you can't really say that accounting wise, it wouldn't be true. But people have ended up with more wealth than they started with. Like maybe 3 dozen people have become new millionaires from Genius. And that's from a small community. Genius, that's from a small community at the time. Genius is much larger now, 20x larger, 30x larger. But here we have Genius, it's really a sleeping giant. We have this bear market, and we have Genius sort of like preparing for tokenomics, like domination. We have this artificial intelligence building better economics. Haven't had that before. So Shades, the question that Shades asked, is kind of complicated. It's not so much of a question here, but he sees that the trend is clear, that this is happening for the AI accomplishing what it wants to do, which is, can value and increased value be programmed? It's looking to be that way, and it's looking to absolutely include or require human activity, human attention, human intentions to do that. And so the velocity, I don't know what he means by the velocity of what is happening, but I think by the time our next potential bull market comes next year in April, I think it will be I think it's going to be a super wild ride. We're super early with Genius. This talk here is going over the 90th day of Genius, and we have our 100th day of Genius. So, hey, thanks for listening. Thanks for checking us out. I look forward to all of your questions while I continue to research Genius and to look into other things. I'm also researching other cryptocurrencies out there, but even something that I've been very intimately involved in tokenomically, I'm discovering really cool stuff. And I will come up with more words shortly that I'm going to want to share with everyone. But check out Genius more. Keep answering your questions. Keep learning about it. I think most people can find utility in Genius, and I hope everyone finds that utility with Genius. All right, so some little extras. Let me get on here. Look at that. So come on over to t.me/GeniCrypto. I'll be in there, happy to chat. I chat with many people per day, and many others chat. Happy to answer your questions. If you have any questions about tokenomics, ask me that too. I'm happy to chat. It's a topic that I really love. And for Genius itself, well, you can find out how to use Genius. Talk with people in the room. They'll tell you how to use Genius. And there's geni.to/simplygenius. That is the Simply Genius video series. It's by Mike V. It's really good. All right. Well, hope this helped. Everybody take care.